In this Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous video, we're going to be taking a look at all classes, subclasses, and prestige classes and what they do. This is for the beta. I am expecting all these to make it into the game, although there may be some subtle tweaks, but this should apply to the full game as well. The first class on the list is Alchemist, and this is a class that focuses on the use of bombs and potions and poisons in order to deal damage and disable enemies. They are proficient with simple weapons and bombs as well as light armor but not shields, so you're really going to be sticking to using these bombs and poisons in combat if you're playing this, because you're not going to do a ton of damage and have a lot of protection. Their bomb ability, much like sneak attack, increases in damage by 1d6 every odd level, so it's going to keep increasing in damage all throughout the game. And it is based off their intelligence stats, so they're going to be focusing on intelligence if you're playing an Alchemist. This not only affects the chance to hit, but also the damage done, and including the splash damage that bombs deal. The first subclass of the Alchemist is Chiurgeon. This is effectively a surgeon, that is effectively what that means. And this subclass does similar things with bombs, but also has the ability to heal a little bit. So if you want some extra healing and you still want to be an Alchemist, then this is a good subclass to choose. The Grenadier subclass of Alchemist specializes in using weapons and grenades in combat at the expense of some of their poisons. They don't have quite as much poison resistance, but they will gain access to martial weapons, so you'll have a lot more weapons you can use in combat. And they also gain some special bomb attacks or some special things that are added to their bombs to make their bombs more potent. So if you really like using bombs and weapons, then this is a good subclass for you. The Incense Synthesizer subclass of the Alchemist allows them to use incense, which, if I'm not mistaken, is basically a type of item, or in this case a skill, that will create an aura around them that provides bonuses or benefits to party members in some way. Currently in the beta, it doesn't show exactly what these will be, so I don't know exactly what they are unless I start leveling up that character. But this should provide them with not only the ability to use bombs, but also to provide some passive benefit to their group. The Metamorph subclass allows them to transform into an animal once per day, which increases throughout time, the amount of times you can transform per day. So they're going to be able to shapeshift into various animals and attack, as well as be able to throw bombs when they're not shifted. The Preservationist subclass allows the Alchemist to throw bottles that have creatures contained inside of them, effectively making them a pseudo-summoner, so they're going to be able to throw bombs as well as summon creatures in battle. The Vivisectionist subclass in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous gives the class a sneak attack option, so not only are they going to be able to throw bombs, but they're also going to be able to gain sneak attack as well, so they can deal sneak attack damage. So this is kind of a little bit of a hybrid between a rogue and an alchemist. The Arcanist class is a spellcasting class that uses intelligence for its spells, but also uses charisma for some of its Arcanist exploits. What's unique about this spellcasting class compared to something like a wizard is that it has a mana reservoir that it draws from when it casts spells, and you can actually consume spells in order to increase, the amount of mana in your mana reservoir. So you can sacrifice spells in order to get some mana back in order to cast more spells, so it has a little bit more flexibility in that regard. The Brown Fur Transmuter is a subclass of the Arcanist class, and it allows the player to not only cast the spells that an Arcanist would cast, but also to transform themselves periodically into various animals, and at later levels actually transform other players as well, or other characters I should say, into animals. So if you like a little bit of shape-shifting with your Arcanist, then this is a good subclass for you. The Eldritch Font subclass of the Arcanist class allows them to use an ability called Eldritch Surge, which powers up their spells and abilities a couple of times per day. So they can actually cast these with higher spell level and higher DC checks, making them, connect easier and harder to resist. So if you want to be like a pure caster that deals, a lot of damage with spells, then this is not a bad choice. The Unlettered Arcanist is a subclass of the Arcanist that essentially switches the wizard spell list to the witch spell list for that caster. So they're going to cast from the witch spells, and that's what they're going to gain as they level up throughout the game. Additionally, they also gain a familiar, much like the witch class, that they can use that carries around their spells instead of a spell book. The White Mage subclass of the Arcanist allows the player to cast cure spells by using some of their mana reservoir. They're able to cast any spell that has the word cure from the Divine Cleric spell list. So they're going to be able to use healing spells as if they were their own, along with their other spells in their list. So if you want to have a sort of hybrid healer DPS character, then this is not a bad choice. The Barbarian is a martial class in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and it has proficiencies in all simple and martial weapons, as well as light armor, medium armor, and shields, except for tower shields. They also move faster on the battlefield than other classes and gain an ability called Rage, which allows them to sacrifice their armor in exchange for a better chance to hit and damage, as well as temporary hit points. One interesting thing about Barbarians is that they have specified alignments, meaning that you can only choose a chaotic or neutral alignment. You cannot choose a lawful alignment when playing a Barbarian. The Armored Hulk subclass of Barbarian allows them to use heavy armor and allows them to move faster in heavy armor as they level up. So if you want to play a Barbarian that's very heavily armored, then this is a good choice. The Beastkin Berserker subclass of Barbarian allows them to change into a wolf or a bear. So if you like shape-shifting and you like playing a Barbarian, then this might be the subclass for you. The Invulnerable Rager subclass of Barbarian gives them a lot of damage reduction and resistances. So if you want to make a really tanky Barbarian, then this is also a good choice because you're going to want enemies to attack this character since it's going to tend to shrug off a lot of that extra damage. The Mad Dog subclass of Barbarian allows them to summon an animal companion and gives them benefits related to attacking with their companion. So like to flanking, assuming you're attacking the same target, etc. So if you want to have an animal companion but you want to play Barbarian, then this is a good subclass. The Pack Rager subclass of Barbarian allows them to have a more effective rage and gives them powers they can use while they are in the rage state that often benefit their party members. So if you want a more effective rage, then this is a good subclass to choose. Bards are a spellcasting class in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and they have unique abilities called inspirations that give bonuses to their party members, whether it's making them resist spells or making them stronger, and these get stronger and stronger throughout the course of the game. Their spellcasting ability modifier is of course Charisma, which makes sense for a bard since they should be very charismatic, so their spells are going to be improved by increasing the Charisma stat, and they have proficiencies with the following. All simple weapons plus longsword, rapier, short sword, and short bow, and they are also proficient with light armor and shields except tower shields, and they can cast their bard spells while wearing light armor and using a shield without incurring the normal arcane spell failure chance, so that means they're going to be able to cast spells while using these things without having the risk of failing these spells. This means the Bard class is a bit of a hybrid between a martial and casting character. They have a little bit of each, and they sit somewhere in the middle area. The Archeologist subclass of Bard allows them to sacrifice their inspirations, so they'll no longer be able to use these inspirations, in exchange for a bunch of rogue talents. So they're going to gain some rogue abilities in exchange for those, so if you want to play a hybrid Bard rogue, then this is probably a subclass for you. The Beast Tamer subclass of Bard allows them to summon certain creatures to the battlefield, and also provides them with inspirations that will benefit any summoned pet or ally that their companions have. So if you want somebody that's going to be able to summon as well as buff other pets and summons, then this is a good choice. The Dirge Bard subclass of Bard provides them with passive benefits against the undead, whether it's saving throws against them or spells that affect the undead. If you want to play a Bard that affects the living and the dead, then this is the subclass for you. The Flame Dancer subclass of Bard allows them to do a dance that provides flame resistance or fire resistance to their party members for a certain amount of time, and in addition it provides them with certain fire-based spells from the wizard spell list like Burning Hands and Fireball. So if you want to be a Bard that also has some fire abilities, then this is a good choice for you. Much like the Flame Dancer added fire, the Thundercaller subclass of Bard allows them to have electrical damage or electricity damage abilities. So if you want to be able to do some AoEs with electricity damage in conjunction with the spells that bards have and their inspirations, then this is a good choice for you. The Tranquil Whisperer subclass of Bard allows them Inspire Tranquility, which provides a benefit to all party members within a certain radius that increases their armor class by up to +4 by the end of the game. So if you want to be able to buff the armor of your group, then this is a good choice. The Bloodrager class is sort of a hybrid between a Barbarian and a Sorcerer, allowing them to cast spells when they are in their Blood Rage state, which is similar to Rage. So not only are they going to be very good with weapons, they're also going to have some spells that can deal damage. Like Barbarians, they move faster on the battlefield, and they have proficiency with all martial weapons, light armor, medium armor, and shields except tower shields. Additionally, the Bloodrager can cast spells from its spell list while wearing light and medium armor without the risk of arcane spell failure. So this is very good for them because they're going to be the thick of melee combat. Because they require Charisma in order for their spells DC, or the difficulty class of their spells, they have to spread their points around between Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, and Charisma, meaning that probably a lot of their spells are going to be used to buff them, or heal them, or buff their allies, because they simply won't have a ton of points to dump into Charisma to make all their spells, as powerful as they can. So effectively, you're going to be sort of a melee first, casting second class if you're playing a Bloodrager, if you're optimized. The Bloodrider subclass of Bloodrager allows them to use a mount in combat much the way you would use an animal companion, and it gives bonuses to this as well. So they're going to get bonuses when they're mounted and towards dealing damage to enemies, and their mount is as well. The Greenrager subclass of Bloodrager allows them not only to move through difficult terrain very easily, but also gain some summon Nature's Ally spells. So they're going to be not only a Barbarian sorcerer sort of hybrid, but they're also going to gain some abilities to summon Nature's Allies. So if you want to like sort of three-way hybrid, then this is a good subclass for you. The Primalist subclass of the Bloodrager allows you to trade some of your Bloodline powers for Blood Rage powers. So if you don't like some of the Bloodline powers that you gain throughout the course of the game, you can choose a Blood Rage power instead, giving you a little bit more flexibility over your class. The Spelleater subclass of the Bloodrager allows them to heal in combat and even consume spells, some of their spell slots, in order to heal. So if you want a hybrid, melee caster class that can also heal itself a bit in combat, then this is a good choice. The Steelblood subclass of Bloodrager allows them to wear heavy armor and move more quickly in it, as well as making it more effective. So if you want to be a more tankier caster hybrid class of melee, then this is going to be the choice for you, because there's a lot of things that have to do with increasing your armor. So if you want to avoid damage while still playing this class, then this is a solid choice. Stay tuned as we go through the other 20 classes and all of their subclasses in subsequent videos. There are a lot to go through, so we're going to break this down into about 5 classes video. And then we're going to go through the prestige classes in probably the final video, since that is another 10 or so prestige classes. So stay tuned for that as we go through all of these in the Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous beta. Also, be sure to visit the official wiki if you have more questions about the game. We're filling it up as fast as we can, but as you can imagine, there is a ton of data to add. There is just so many things in this game.